my name is Cassie Rose. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you joined me today. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe down below. I'm so excited to be getting new subscribers, and I love reading all your different comments and talking to you guys on Instagram and things like that. It's been really cool. And I am just so excited for this series that I'm doing right now. It is about the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. If you have not watched the first one from last week, go ahead and check that out. I'll link it right here. We are talking about each of the 5 dysfunctions. Last week we started with trust. We talked about what trust looks like in a team and how important it is to establish trust, grow trust, create a culture of trust, because trust is key to building a healthy and thriving team. And having a healthy, thriving team is key to creating your goals and setting them and accomplishing them and all of that great stuff. Please like this video, leave a comment down below saying what you've gotten out of this series so far, out of the first and second one. And today we're going to talk about the second dysfunction, which is a fear of conflict. Woo! I love conflict. I actually do. Not everybody does, There's those special people who are just insane enough to love conflict, to love arguing with people. That is me. Hello. So I want to talk about this, and we're just going to jump straight into it. A fear of conflict. What is conflict? Conflict is confrontation, discussions, arguments. It could be anything where two people bump heads, they disagree. Maybe there was just a moment of frustration and someone let that out verbally, and maybe it was aggressive, maybe it was offensive, whatever that might be. There's conflict that arises in every relationship, professional or personal. We all go through conflict. Conflict is natural and it's healthy. However, when it's dealt with the wrong way, it can be toxic. And the most important thing about conflict to keep it healthy is to have it regularly. So last week we talked about trust and establishing trust within your teams, and how that trust is so necessary because it allows people to feel safe, heard, and understood in that environment, in that culture. Now, if you don't have trust as the foundation of your team, as we saw from this lovely diagram, if we don't have trust as the foundation of our team, above that we see that we're going to develop a fear of conflict. People are afraid of conflict when they don't trust the people around them. When you don't trust people around you, you're afraid to speak the truth. You're afraid to bring up conflict that needs to be resolved. So you end up stuffing it down, keeping it quiet, and ignoring it for a long period of time. And with this silence comes bitterness, frustration, judgment, shame, hurt. All of these things build off of a foundation of a fear of conflict. So we have this lack of trust, and then we have a fear of conflict that builds because of it. So number one, we need to establish an environment and a culture of trust. So if you need to learn more about that, please check out that video. But now that we look at building a foundation of trust, we can go into conflict. Now, if we have a fear of conflict in our organization or a group, naturally starting a culture of healthy conflict is going to be a bit uncomfortable. So we need to learn how to have healthy conflict and confrontation in order to best serve the people that we are working with. Now, as I said, I love conflict, but just because somebody likes conflict does not mean that they handle conflict in a healthy or productive way. And that word is going to be key to this, productive conflict, because when we're confronting someone in this situation, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. You could say the right thing, you could say the wrong thing, you could straight out just be a jerk. Now, we want to learn how to approach these topics that are touchy without being offensive or hurtful. We want those conversations to be productive, and that means that we need to have these conversations about conflict in a very intentional way. There are a lot of books about how to have these types of conversations. There's one book specifically that's great, How to Have Difficult Conversations by Henry Cloud and John Townsend. They write a lot of books about interpersonal communication and where that comes from mentally. So this is a really good resource to check out. I highly recommend reading this book. But there are also a lot of other resources, and I just encourage you to reach out, Google, look online for different resources for how to have productive confrontation. Let's look at some scenarios that we might find in our workplaces or in our teams. Let's say you're in a meeting and everybody's talking and contributing, and then you put out an idea and someone else shuts it down right away in a very aggressive or overtly hurtful way. This is kind of an emotional response, but we're hurt by it, okay? We're hurt by these types of things, and often we can think that because we're in a workplace we need to stuff it down, not talk about it. When we don't talk about these things that happen, there's going to be a root of bitterness that starts to grow within us. And so we actually need to talk about these things right away so that nothing deeper can take root. And so these conversations need to happen very intentionally, very productively in order to make a difference. So let's say Jeff, sorry for anyone named Jeff, but let's say Jeff just has a bad attitude when he's talking to you in your board meeting and whatever meeting you're in. Maybe you're just having coffee with a bunch of people and you give, an idea for what to do, and they're just a jerk about it. You may not want to confront Jeff. Maybe you're like, oh, that's just how he is. That's just, dang it. I know someone named Jeff, and Jeff, it was not important. If you probably won't be watching this, but if you're watching this, it wasn't intentional, Jeff. You're fine. But for this imaginary Jeff, let's just say this is how he is. He's abrasive. He doesn't think before he speaks. I'm not going to say anything to him because it's just going to happen again. This is just his personality. We can't write off issues as someone's personality and use that as an excuse as to why we won't talk to them. Because even if it's how they are, if you do not confront someone when they hurt you or when they offend you, then you will be building a wall between the two of you in your relationship, and it won't be able to get any farther. Having these conversations with people, they can be uncomfortable. They often are. Even for someone who's very used to confrontation, it's uncomfortable. Conflict is uncomfortable, but we need to have conflict. Now imagine, or maybe you're in a scenario where you're not seeing conflict in your organization and you think there is none because you don't see it happening. And you think, my team is great. They never fight. They never argue. Everything is completely roses and daisies and we're totally fine. That you should be worried about because everyone has conflict. Think about a marriage. You may have heard this before, but a lot of counselors say that healthy marriages, they're made up of people who argue. That couple argues because they're two different individuals. And whenever you put two or more individuals together, there's going to be conflict because they're different. People are different. So I want to encourage you, if you're in a group and if you're in a team that has a lot of conflict and you think, oh my gosh, we're so dysfunctional, this is so bad, congratulations. At least you're starting off where you're aware that there's conflict. But if you're in a team where you don't see conflict regularly, I want to challenge you to seek it out. Maybe ask more controversial questions in some of your meetings. Ask people for their input. If you have people around the table who often don't say anything, get them to speak. When one person shares an opinion, ask another person what they think of it. Bring things up so that you can have differing opinions. Now, at first, this could be dangerous territory because those differing opinions can butt heads. People could get their feelings hurt. People could get offended. But once we create a culture of disagreement, then people get used to it. And what you end up with is a team set up to succeed. A team set up to have the best ideas and the best resources and the best know-how, because now you're not just getting one perspective on every topic, you're getting 7 perspectives, 10 perspectives, whatever your team looks like. You're getting this larger spectrum of options when everyone's talking. Now, when everyone starts to talk, that's when people are going to start to disagree. But that is okay. That's why you are the leader. That's why you're put in that position, because it all comes down to what you inevitably want for the organization. Or if there's someone above you, it's inevitably going to come down to what they want for the organization. However, in order to get the best ideas, you need all of the worst ideas. And in order to get all the worst ideas, people need to feel safe to share. And in order to feel safe, they need to trust their team. We want regular conflict. It is healthy, it is natural, and it's what brings about the most authentic ideas and strategies for you to reach your goals. If we don't have conflict, then everything else at the top of this pyramid, it's gonna be pointless, because we need conflict in a team. We need controversy and confrontation. And these words sound aggressive and bad because we're so used to conflict ending poorly in culture, in our society. You know, people, we're trained to watch shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians or Real Housewives of wherever, and they're fighting and then slapping each other and pulling each other by the hair and getting all catty, and that's what we have labeled confrontation to be, and conflict, but that's really not what it is. Confrontation can be meek and mild. It can be composed and put together. Jesus confronted people in two ways. He was composed and put together and intellectual and quite a guy. But Jesus was also flipping tables in the temple, right? So there's different forms of confrontation, and they all have their time, okay? I'm not gonna say that aggressive, out there confrontation is bad, because Jesus did it. He did it once. He did it only once, okay? But he did it. So there's all these different types of confrontation. And what we need to do as leaders is read the room and think, okay, how can I make this productive? How can I use this disagreement to benefit the larger majority and to benefit our team and the goals that we have? When you learn how to communicate through conflict well, it is going to make a world of a difference for your team. It's going to change everything, really, because now everything's in the open. You can't fix what you don't know. And as a leader, if you're on a team where there's no conflict, that means that there's a lot that you don't know. So that's why we need to start with laying this foundation of trust, so that you are a person that people can trust. And then out of that, we need to lay a foundation of being unafraid of conflict. This pyramid is just going to keep building itself, but these are two really important components. They need to trust you, and they need to know that they can have conflict. Conflict among your team is great until it's conflict among a team member and you as the leader. This is more difficult, especially when it's something where you have wronged them, where you made a mistake, where you didn't do what you should have done. And you need to decide right now that that's okay, that you can be wrong, that they can call you out on that, and that you can make mistakes and be okay with that. And lead the way in humility, showing people that conflict is good, that saying I was wrong is okay. And through this, we can really make a difference in these teams and in people's lives. What this all comes down to as a leader is, do you want to just reach your goals, or do you want to make a difference in people's lives? This is what distinguishes a leader from a boss, because a boss is going to really only care about their professional side of everything, and then when they clock out, they're done. But as a leader, we care for people's lives. We care for them as individuals. We want to see the best of them. We want to mentor them. We want them to grow and become better than ourselves. That's what a true leader is. Now, if you're not interested in that, you're not a leader. So you're looking more to be a boss, and this isn't going to help you. But if you want to be a leader, it's not an hourly job. It's not a job where you can clock in and clock out. And it's not a job where you can get your feelings hurt. Leaders set aside their rights so that they can better and grow and mentor the people that are coming up underneath them. And as a leader, you need to be okay with being wrong sometimes, and modeling the example of what it looks like to be humble and to be in conflict and be okay with being told that you did something wrong, or maybe that your idea is just not best. As we go through this series, every single dysfunction, the remedy is going to require humility from the leader, to be the one who goes first and sets the example, and who takes responsibility for the culture that they've established. If that culture is unhealthy, we take responsibility for it. If we want that culture to be healthy, we take responsibility for it. We take it into our own hands to make it happen. A fear of conflict freezes momentum. Confidence in conflict allows us to get better. So I want to challenge you guys, be in some healthy conflict, learn what that looks like, read a book. Again, I really suggest How to Have Difficult Conversations by Cloud and Townsend. That book is a great resource, and there's so many others. So go ahead, dive into that. And if you guys want to learn more about conflict and how to have those conversations specifically, leave a comment down below and I'll try to make a video on that eventually, because I would love to talk about that as well. Like I said at the beginning, like and subscribe to my channel for more videos and set that little alarm so that you get a notification every week when I post a video, even though this week I struggled and so it's coming later, but that's okay. It's still going up. I will be posting videos now every Saturday, so keep an eye out for that. Starting this coming Saturday, I'll be posting one every Saturday, and I can't wait to see you guys then. Bye. Let's talk about leadership.